We're in,
It's been
we're
a
on.
couple of weeks. Been a couple of weeks since we played, so I will remind us all.
Previously in Jed's D&D. Yep,
You
microphone's on.
have, yeah, you have travelled west to the town of Bedenreach, sitting beneath the mountains of the dwarven city of Mazenhal. Your intent in travelling was partly out of investigation and to report the death of the late Lord Beck, the mayor and effectively landowner aristocratic style of Ansil and the Becklands in the centre of the nation of Lurich. On arrival in Bedenreach, you encountered a slightly rough welcome. Certain locals took umbrage to the presence and liberty of one of your party members, Jethro, directly facing racism on account of his Orcish heritage lineage from some of the dwarven locals. Others, however, were happy to sit alongside and drink with him, and you found a place to stay, to eat food and water at the Cask and Kennel on the docks at the head of the river Beck. In the morning,
we went and met with Little Beck, didn't we?
In the morning, you met with local Crown officer David Beck, and discussed the fate of his father, not revealing the actuality and true circumstances of his death. Discussed perhaps the dwarvish position to the war and the war effort which faces Lurich to the north. Mr. Beck, soon perhaps, or already maybe, Lord Beck, has promised you a letter which will guarantee you an appointment with... What is the guy's name? I've stepped away from my screen. Simon Highcleve, who is the Gelder, the kind of chairman of the dwarven clans in the upper mountain of Mazenhal.
The Gelder? Bloody hell.
That's what he's called. He's called the guy, yeah,
Fucking
absolutely.
hell, watch your nuts, gentlemen.
It's possible I was misreading my own handwriting, I'm not sure, but that's what I've referred to him as in my notes, so there you go.
Was that Highcliffe?
Highcleve, Simon Highcleve.
Okay.
Yeah. As you say, Gelder by name. Gelder, yeah.
Cool.
He's not Gelder by name, he's Gelder by title. Anyway, he keeps and chairs what is known as the storehouse in the high mountain, which is the meeting hall for the various clan heads. You've been promised an appointment with him and promptly left Lord Beck's home and office in Bedenreach. Notably, you haven't received this letter yet. You have a little bit of time to spend, or you may travel in yourself before you're able to get this meeting. But the morning is shaping up to be a bright one, another summer's day. And as we come in on the party in the centre square of Bedenreach, between the Highcleve town office and the Crown office itself, the representative of the throne of Lurich here in the west, and the cable car which creeps and tracks up towards the high mountain entrance, and the rails and the road which wind towards the gate and the tunnels into the lower mountain. town of Bedenreach is coming awake. Obadiah in particular, looking around you, finding yourself in a town you've never been to before, a different architectural style perhaps to what you're used to in having grown up in a port town, having spent most of your time near the east coast of Lurich. You thought yourself a travelled man, but here is a sight, mountains, that you've not come across before. And the sun rising on your back is hitting the highest peaks first. There is a glorious golden glow. And the wind up high whips in the cloudless sky, and you see something stir, something shift, twinkling in the light. And you realize that now, a 10-day perhaps after midsummer, that there is snow yet twisting on those high peaks. And Obadiah, this stirs in you a memory of a tale you heard in childhood. One that perhaps your grandfather told, one that perhaps you may have told to young Caitlin Goss on some downtime. It is a fairy story perhaps, but one that's told to children to help them understand the place of Lurich in the world, the history of the faith of the nation in which you live. And this is of an old time, a time before your grandfather's grandfather was but a boy. A time before people knew about the divinity, the wholeness of nature, and the place of the people of Lurich in it. The sense that they were part of the world and had to steward it, had to work alongside it to truly appreciate its bounty, was not as well settled then as it is now. There were men then, the story goes, who thought of themselves as separate from nature, as above it, as able, through means untold, to reach beyond it, and to look out past nature and past the world around them. And there they sought to speak to whatever voices might hear them. And this was, in the story, Obadiah, this memory comes to you. This was a folly, and calamity came to them. And in the tales, the sky at midsummer was blackened, and the sea rose up, and snow fell across the plains in the bright hot days, and the stars fell, and the earth flew and choked and cast dust across the land.
And so is the onset of the early winter, is this natural snows for this time of year?
What you're
Bostic.
What you're looking at is mountain, and these mountains are high enough to maintain snow perhaps all year round. This is something you'll have heard of.
Okay.
But it's not something that Obadiah himself, having lived near the coast, having lived in low land, you will have seen snow before, but to see it, days after midsummer will surprise you until you think about it for a second.
Okay.
And with it comes these memories of childhood tales.
Well, I believe, gentlemen, the plan was to go straight to the top this morning, wasn't it?
I would have words before we go.
Are we waiting for the cable car? Sorry.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, sorry.
Words about what?
Needs privacy.
We're out in the were we out in a square, like at the base of the cable car?
You're in the town square at the base of the cable car. The ground is cobblestoned. There is an area that carts already will be moving through, and there is a belt of iron set into the ground that I don't think any of you have a mining background, so the purpose won't necessarily be clear until you see a cart trundling along with its wheel set hard against this belt of iron.
Monorail.
And there was a gnome selling coffee.
There was a gnome selling
Ooh.
coffee. Titus spent a little time discussing contraptions.
Brilliant.
Well, we find some quiet corner and talk there.
Absolutely. There's a park not too far away with nobody in at this time of day. The grass is still wet from... Well, it's not wet from dew anymore, but there are birds dotting around.
Yeah, and we'll see the cable car coming from where we are, so...
Absolutely.
Is this meant to be a private word with Obadiah?
No,
That's
with
right.
all of you.
Oh, with all of us. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry. Well, let's go take a sit over there, shall we? That looks nice.
Yeah. I'll look around, make sure there's no locals nearby.
There's somebody.
Jesus.
There are people in the park, but nobody near you.
No
You
one
think
within
you can
earshot.
mumble and... Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
let me.
people are generally walking by and going on their way to work and things.
I need to tell you a story. This will take a minute. So yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. So my father was called Grief Teeth Thief. He was a great and fearsome war chief. Now he was a real orc warlord. He was 7 feet tall, 400 pounds. His strength was legendary. One day when I was a boy, a young human came to the camp, hooded and robed. He asked for an audience for my father. He said he was looking for the world's greatest warriors to test his skill against. He challenged my father to a duel. So my father laughed, of course, and said, "Oh, I could cut you in two with my axe like nothing." This human was more than a foot shorter and seemed young and slight. Though his face was hooded, his body language displayed no fear. The man said, "Why not try me with your bare hands then?" So my father laughed, but he accepted, as an orc warlord cannot be seen to refuse a duel. So they strode out beneath a grey oak tree, and the clan gathered round to witness. My father let out a great bellow. The human nodded. My father was the strongest man I've ever seen. He charged his opponent, bringing his fist down in a blow that would shatter a stone altar. The man was no longer there. He had moved so fast he blurred and brought his elbow down on my father's tricep. Grief grunted. His next right hook was slower. The man ducked it with ease, sending a knee into Grief's armpit. As this fight went on, my father threw great blows, but every time the man countered with several strikes, disabling his muscles and joints. Never seen anybody as fast or as precise with hand-to-hand combat. With knees, elbows, hands and feet, he gradually brought my father down and slowed him, until finally, Grief made one desperate charge, intended to tackle the man to the ground. The man ducked to the side and sent a kick to his solar plexus. The old crowd, all my tribe, heard the crack of my father's sternum, and there was a sharp intake of breath, followed by silence. Grief fell over backwards, leant against the tree, as his heart stopped and his breast moved no more. The man leaned over the body, snapped off Grief's tusks with his hand that had 6 fingers. He then turned his back and muttered, "Teeth thief no more." Now, one orc tradition is that if a person challenges a war chief to a duel and wins, the rest of the clan won't harm him, so the man was allowed to leave. So I stood there in shock and despair. And after my father's death, my uncles and cousins fought amongst themselves, splitting a clan into factions. None wanted anything to do with the human wife of the war chief, so we were left to watch from the sidelines as the Teeth Thief clan tore itself apart. Infighting, rival clans, and battles with the dwarves whittled them down to nothing. I fled with my mother into the wilderness. She died in a bandit ambush, and I wandered for months until Master Jack Key-chan rescued me near death from starvation. Through it all, I never forgot the six-fingered man and vowed to master my body and the martial arts, to hone myself into the greatest living weapon in order to challenge him. I believe that man to be David Beck, and I will have his life.
What? It's Beck,
I believe
the
so.
younger.
He's got 6 fingers. We heard tell. He's a great. What was it we heard about him? He like seeking out fights and shit. I don't know.
Kilfer referred to him as considerably more dangerous than his father.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember
dangerous
that.
than his father.
Yeah.
I just had assumed it in kind of the political sphere, you know, where.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, that's the thing I wrote that I told you about.
Yeah.
Jed.
You did tell us about that.
I hope that was okay.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Jethro, we'll get him. But I think it might be best to get him on the way back.
It would seem prudent. I've
I-
waited long enough. I can wait a little longer. But just
I know
so
it's
we're
a
clear.
horrible thing to ask. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
The guy's a dick, and he's far from what a lord should be. He doesn't seem like the proper lawful entity that should be governing in the king's name, just like his father. We don't know how tied up he is with this. Like, was he using otherworldly boons in that fight?
Well, that
Or is he just that dangerous?
matters not to me, but well, matters not to me what he has to do with the rest of our quest. As long as I get my chance.
Do you want to duel him?
I don't know about that. That's me talking.
Well, you know,
Maybe.
I think the problem is, Jethro, and I reach up and kind of put a finger, like I probably have to reach up quite a bit, to put a finger on Jethro's necklace, just tapping some of the teeth. Seems you're still part of the clan. While you're wearing that necklace, you can't raise a finger against them.
Not unless it's the Honourable Nin, surely. The redo
Shit. I don't think
of
that.
the duel.
Do you understand what I'm getting at again?
Yeah. No, I'll challenge him.
But if you challenge him, you can't be part of a thief clan.
No, I think you can.
If I challenge him honorably, I think I didn't think that through when I wrote it. But if I
but that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
because you might have to give up one thing to overcome. Yeah,
absolutely.
You'll have to take him on your own.
Yeah, if that's what it takes to regain
this out of character. That's what I was trying to work out. If you wanted to just fucking do him in a revenge plot, or if you wanted to do your papa proud and do him the proper way.
I don't know.
So by your clans, what's the customs? Does that mean he's the man to challenge?
I think so. Yeah, I think I need to challenge him.
Well, we should hope that we can garner some use for these strange metals we found. Craft you something that will aid your duel with this thing.
It pains me to say, but I have been I've had my ass kicked in a few of our fights. So yeah, maybe I'm not strong enough. Maybe I.
Well, and I'll put my hand on your hip because I can't reach my shoulder. If
His
you
ass
know,
cheek.
I'll slap it
If
away.
you-
You slag.
if you need it, just give me a signal and I'll shoot him in the face.
All
Miles away.
right. Thank you.
I can turn him into an ant for you, so you can just step on him.
Gentlemen, I think this is about honor, and I think all the things we've been discussing
It's
here,
slightly
while
dishonorable.
very feasible, are not quite about honor.
Wow.
Well, look,
I could cast hallucinogenic terrain on him, so when you're fighting him, the terrain doesn't look like it does.
look, I just wanted to make you aware, and I'm glad that you're
We
with
could
me.
give him one of these love potions so he falls in love with you when you beat the shit out of him.
That would be
Sorry.
ungentlemanly.
Commanded
Indeed.
to walk into the river.
Well, yeah. Let's carry it. Well, we've got a mission.
Right. If you're gonna have to fight
Yeah.
1-on-1, I'll make sure I got Vivify prepared.
Yeah.
Any boons that our magic may give you, we'll use them. And anything we can gain up in this dwarf stronghold, we'll take that with our advantage.
We could find out more about him as well. That'd be handy.
Well,
'Cause, like I said,
Yeah.
if he was, I don't know.
Well, we'll keep him in our good graces until we visit Lord Highcleve and find out what we can about the state of the dwarven nation in the mountains. Because I think the king will need their help.
Well, yes, as you know, revenge is better served with a surprise.
And a good dialogue.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, look, here's the cable car.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's go.
The cable car is tracking down and will sit for a few minutes before you can get the ride. There's
Look,
a
sorry, just out of interest, was Bostic here when you told us that?
that's up for you to decide, Gex.
Yeah, I trust the boy. The
With
lad.
Bostic.
Yeah.
Cool.
He doesn't say much. He nods along.
Was he there? No, he wasn't there when we killed Lord Beck. So
No, he wasn't.
he probably doesn't know the story of what happened. Yeah.
Again, that's up to you fellas how much Bostic knows. He wasn't present at the time, so
We just tell him he died. I don't know.
If we didn't tell him, he probably knows the same thing that we told the son.
Yeah, he died as a result of the zombies, which is not untrue.
But you may also have heard our speaking of Bostic, of Beck as Beck the Elder, as like a dishonorable leader, because I'm sure he was present when we talked about the slave pits and things like that.
yeah.
I'll say Bostic, like, lords are not inherently good men or honourable men. They're just powerful and born to it. Bear that in mind.
Right, I better take a piss before we get on this thing. Who knows how long we'll be on it. Back in a moment.
Sure.
But is this like a gondola kind of cable car, or is it just like a fucking platform attached to a rope?
Planks of wood.
No, there is. It is. This is the posh dwarf's car, so it is made of wood and glass with decent
so
chain linking.
with
to
like
take
a
over
roof
top.
and
it has
door.
seats inside it. Absolutely.
Fancy.
There is
Wow.
a chamber. The dwarf tending the office at the bottom has a frock coat on and combed hair.
Wow.
This is very much a classic, above ground is for posh dwarfs and below ground is for working class dwarfs.
Real
and
dwarfs.
Bostic will spell it out in exactly those terms.
Well, better mind your P's and Q's up here, lad.
Pisses and quims, got it.
That's it.
And he has a smile, like he's he's a big man now.
I'll wipe a speck of dirt off his armor. Just there you go.
All right. I'll wait for Gav to come back in.
Back here.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Now, with that in mind, the car is going to cost you, between the 5 of you, they're going to charge you, half, 5 silver each. So yeah, 2.5 gold, I suppose, if you're counting those things. Whoever's keeping the treasury can mark that off.
I've got that sorted.
Nice.
And that'll go all the way to the top.
So does this go? Sorry, does this go up to Mazenhal from Bedenreach?
So, yes. So, and you
Right.
can ask Bostic about this, because Bostic can lay these things out. But effectively, the city is made of kind of tunnels and corridors. The amount of ground that it spreads under and through is quite large. The population isn't necessarily larger than any above ground town, but it actually spreads out quite a bit. There is an area of the city, the high mountain, which is effectively above ground and built into the mountains which loom over Bedenreach. And you can take that is exactly where the cable car goes, as it goes into the high mountain districts there. There is not much geographical distance between Bedenreach and Mazenhal. The difference is, whether Bedenreach is actually above ground and Mazenhal is all built into the mountain. The low mountain is below ground. It is below Bedenreach, and the high mountain is all that's above.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bostic. How bad do you think things are going to be for Jethro up here? Just be honest.
Stick. Keep him with us.
He's not a dog.
Yeah, I know that. He's all right. I'll try and keep us out of the places that. See, above ground people probably won't say anything. They'll just be kind of short about it, or I don't know. Yeah, above ground people won't say too much. The low mountain.
Well, look, the thing is, what we want to do here is essentially talk to Lord Highcleve, or advisors to him, or somebody that represents him, honestly. And we want to deliver a fair and decent assessment of what is happening in the lowlands. And then we want to get their advice or their take on it and leave again. So we don't need necessarily to interact with anyone outside of that sphere. We maybe might like a smith who has ways of magic about him that can help craft us some weapons for the fight in the future, but
yeah,
I don't think we've any other goals up here, gentlemen, do we?
I have a person I would like to find.
Bostic, I'll introduce you to my dad. He's a bloody canny smith.
Oh yeah.
Got his master's certificate before I was born.
I
Love
did
to
mention
meet
it
him.
last time to Bostek, didn't I?
Broadaxe, yeah.
Yeah, Broadaxe, that was it.
What's Broadaxe to you there? How do you know him?
We met his brother in the lumber camp.
Oh yeah.
Ah, okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yes.
In,
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. It deals in all kinds of weird stuff. Good use with gems. He's good with light through gems, like refractions and that.
So, well, he has a certain powder I require for keeping my boomstick operational.
Oh, not the power that keeps you awake.
Well, if he's got that, that sounds excellent as well.
the
And
marching powder.
The powder that makes you say yes. And
Yes, to what?
the powder that makes your teeth clean.
Please.
Ooh.
And he gets a powder. What else did we have? We had a powder that makes a nice sauce.
Ooh. Like the sounds of that.
Yeah, it calls it, like a gravy, but nicer, you know? And you can carry it around.
Ooh.
Pocket gravy.
Well, that just makes it sound weird.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll introduce you to my dad, and we'll find Broadaxe.
Love to meet him.
Yeah.
Does your dad have a title, Bostic? What do we refer to him as?
Fuck is Bostic's surname again? Bright Iron?
Yeah.
Mr. Bright Iron's probably
yeah.
best, yeah.
Of the Metallurgy clan. So is he like Master Bright Iron or something?
Yeah, Master might be polite. I always call him Dad. I don't know.
I think Mr. will
Jeez.
do for a start.
Well, unless he's got a title and a an earned honor within his.
He can't expect us to
Yeah.
know that as outsiders.
No, I think Mr.
Yeah.
will probably call him Mr. That'll be alright. I'll be happy with that, I think.
All right.
Sorry.
Trying to think when I saw someone who wasn't. You can't just call him Borva, which is, his friends call him that, but
We'll
you
be
guys
calling
aren't
him
his
that in no
friends.
time.
Good to know. Is there? I'm asking the gem now. Is there like any dwarven gift exchange, custom meeting greets and things like that? Like the way you might exchange business cards in Japan or that type of thing, or bring a present to a dinner. I speak Dwarvish, but I don't know if I know a huge amount of Dwarvish culture.
Expect to present credentials, like to talk about your qualifications or to talk about what you've earned. These guys, and you will have gotten this from Bostic, where it was a big deal for him to be out earning experience as a smith, and he's just told you about his father having earned his master's certificate.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that on the gondola ride up, that we probably should not necessarily say, and I might even say this telepathically to the rest of the guys except Bostic, that we probably don't say, we saved Bostic. Just say Bostic helped us or something like that.
Well, we didn't save him. He was in the church. We didn't save him for anything.
Yeah, we didn't actually save him.
And then he
Good point.
Came out with us, and he's kept a good accounting for himself.
Yeah.
He's got quite the boomerang.
What?
His fucking hammer that returns them.
Oh,
He looks down at that and kind of weighs it in his hand and looks around at you kind of sheepishly. Yeah. Yeah, through this a couple of times, eh? Yeah.
I'm sure
You can give me an insight check, having mentioned it.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. 22.
Yeah. He's got mixed feelings about it, and he's squirming a little bit in his arm. Yeah, about having used it.
Yeah, maybe his dad gave it to him to keep him safe. Therefore, he has to rely on his dad's work to keep him safe, opposed to be self-reliant. Or I might be reading a bit into that.
I'm going to ignore his feelings.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
that. Just take them internally. I mean,
well, he hasn't put it away. He stayed in his armor, but he's now suddenly looking nervous about holding the hammer and wearing the armor.
Like he's
not.
Worried.
Well, like he's. I don't know. Doesn't feel worthy to be a warrior, or his dad won't expect him to be dressed like that. I don't know.
He's a fucking pacifist. Just lose him.
Matt didn't play him as a pacifist. I'm not going to play Bostic as a pacifist.
Yeah,
agreeable.
Yeah.
He's
no
a
way.
dwarf, kind of dwarf pacifist. We'll be right.
And he deliberately, like, that was the one thing that he went and rescued. So if he'd wanted to get away from that stuff, he definitely could have done. You guys rolled well enough on your insight to have worked that out. He didn't have to come back with you, and if he hadn't wanted to use or wear his armor and his hammer, he definitely would have left it behind, because he had a really good opportunity to ditch it.
So is there a gondola operator on this craft device?
You're all sat. The time comes, the clock dings, and the handles crank. The motor starts to move and to turn. There's no staff inside the carriage, and it is just the 5 of you riding this time, having seen people disembark coming from the high mountain, but nobody's going in at this time of day, except for yourselves, it would seem. And the chain pulls taut, and the carriage sways a little and lifts from the ground. And you begin to rise above the low-lying buildings, and then gradually above the taller buildings like the King's House, the Crown Office, sorry, and above the town of Bedenreach, and up towards the mountain. The ride takes a few minutes, maybe 10. You are slowly swaying upwards, and after a little bit, the sun beams direct and refracts against the glass, and the chamber begins to feel quite warm. But the wind is pushing against you, and the rock of the mountain comes closer and closer, and it is clear even in the summer sun that this has stayed wet. This rock is cold. There are areas which will not see the sun, and snow, by the time you are above the town, persists in these crevices, these gullies, even now during the hottest months as you go forward. But you ride upwards.
Spend some time on the ride up, just to look back at the town and just get an idea of the layout.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I can draw it down for you roughly.
No, that's okay. It was just maybe, if we're stuck in a chase or something, I might know a way later.
That's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can see where things are. You can see there are houses. These houses look certainly kind of human, medium-sized rather than for small people or dwarves. The town is beginning to bustle. Carts are coming in and out of the lower mountain. And looking down upon the docks, you see people for the first time getting to work. There are boxes being moved on the jetty, and stacks being dismantled and moved there onto boats, which are being pulled out. They've, as you learned last night, they've laid idle for a few days now. The staff and the workers have been picketed effectively, blockaded, in place because they still want to get paid. They're still coming to work, but they've been unable to load things onto the boats for a few days, and now suddenly there is activity again as you look down upon the docks. There is the central road, which effectively feeds into the road that you rode in on, and you can see the stables near the Bedenreach where you tied up your cart, the horse that you borrowed, and Tor, where your young, as yet unhatched charged, remains incubating.
Yep. Little egg.
And slowly ahead of you, you can see where the rock face has been carved and flattened and opened, and ornaments. Shut up! Sorry, motorbike in the street. And carved with more ornament here. There is glass, there is open space, and there is a dwarf with a halberd standing guard, waiting for you to sail on in to the port. And the rock inside this entrance hall is sheer and bare and unadorned. The decoration, such as it is austere and simple. But the room is well lit. The ceiling in particular seems clear and carved out, and looking past you, you can make out high ports, perhaps? What you might think were for ventilation at first sight. Cut into the ceiling, cut into the divisions, the walls. There's a small crowd gathering, waiting to be let on to the gondola. And they look upon you as you come out.
Give him a big
One or two people
Tusky
are looking
grin.
Jethro's way. Yeah, absolutely. They will not meet your gaze, Jethro. These dwarves are well dressed. You know, they have shoes rather than boots. You know, they carry bags rather than barrows. But they're dwarves nonetheless. They are armed, such is the tradition. And plates of metal that adorn clothing that are clearly not meant as armor, but are meant perhaps to evoke armor. Stylistically. The gondola comes to a stop. The door is unlocked from the outside by a dwarf in a frock coat that's identical to the one at ground level. And the air stepping out is cold.
Brr.
Right, gentlemen, best behaviour. I'll flip back that kind of flap I had over my king's badge thing, and I'll stroll onto the dock.
So you're displaying it?
Yeah, here, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. People kind of don't look your way too much. You haven't been the only human to come around here. But there's certainly no one to greet you. There's a doorway at the far end, which seems to lead into a corridor. And there is some noise, not clamour, but just, some noise of activity, some noise of movement. Doesn't really seem able to escape. This chamber has a small waiting party, and as you all disembark, they begin to bound in and find their seats in the gondola, ready for their ride down to the lower town.
Right, Bostic, why don't you lead the way?
I've only been here once before. Okay. You want to go to the storehouse?
Well, do we meet your family first, or do we go towards the Lord?
Oh well, that's down below. We can go there if you want. But I mean, we're here now, and sure, yeah,
Is the head honcho up here?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it might be rude to come here without visiting your father first.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go see Dad. Yeah, okay. I know where the descender is, the staircase.
All
You guys have got good shoes on, right?
right.
My
Oh.
best.
I wear sandals.
Yeah, okay. Only it's a lot of steps.
I'll be fine. I have excellent calf muscles.
Plastic leads you through the corridors down here. The building space is tight. What I want to evoke, just to give you the picture, is almost like the interior of Cloud City in Empire Strikes Back. It is tight corridors, with doors set into the stone. But it is well lit, and you realise after a little bit that the channels that you thought were directing air are actually directing daylight. There are refracting mirrors and almost beams of extra bright light set up against the ceiling, into doorways, things like that.
Very cool.
Almost every door has a glass lantern or even an open space where, air can move, but light can travel. And so even deep within the mountain, there are some places that have torches, some that have even magical light, but there is as much natural light as possible being channeled and directed with reflecting panels, with refracting crystals, with really remarkable clarity, and prismatic in places, moving the light around and keeping as much of it as they can in the rooms, bouncing around. If you're able to get a glimpse into a room, for example, there are mirrors and well-polished furnishings. A metal table might gleam with what daylight there is. The dwarves passing you keep to themselves. They don't really look your way. They are themselves a little brusque, but their beards are well kept. Their hair is combed. You reach a certain junction, and this part of the corridor is broad, well travelled. There are comers and goers, and even folks with dirty boots, rough trousers. Bostic points one way to the right and says, "That's where the Stohes is. That's where the clans meet." And this way is the descent. Again, we can take the lift down, or we can just take the stairs. Up ahead of us is the Temple of Snow. That's a bit higher up again. Those are the only places I've been here.
Well,
Well, why don't you lead us down the stairs?
Oh, that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. And Bostic takes the left towards the descent, as promised. And you realise perhaps that you are walking quite deep into the mountain, as probably a natural fissure in the rock opens up, and there is daylight from the top and speckling here and there in odd places. The air is cold and moving here, but an enormous spiral staircase has been carved in against the edge of it, and set into the wall a great iron railing. There are chains and ropes with loops. And Bostic gestures. Look, if you've got a head for heights, you can tie yourself on here. As he himself begins to do so, where he takes a section of rope and threads it through an iron ring.
And the rope is tied around himself, is it?
And wraps the rope around himself.
Yeah, I'll follow his lead.
You follow his lead? Absolutely. You can find a section of rope that's long enough you'll be able to stand upright perfectly fine, Obadiah. Although the thought might cross your mind, those of you with an intelligence score above, 13, that there's only the one rail. And so the question unanswered is, what happens if you meet someone coming the other way?
What's the rail do? Sorry,
The
I'm
rail,
picturing it.
boss. So, do you know what a via ferrata is?
I will in 5 seconds.
Via ferrata is something that happens in mountaineering, where you have a steel cable set into the mountain.
Okay.
Via ferrata climbers tie themselves into that. Now they use carabiners.
Yeah.
So you can unhook that if you need to. If you
Yeah.
need to move from section to section to section. Whereas Bostic and his dwarves do not have sprung-gate carabiners. and
Are
instead
we
have-
on? So is this to support us on the staircase, or?
This is in case you fall, because what you have on the inside of the staircase is a deep, deep shaft with some ropes running up and down, with some platforms, similar to what perhaps you have seen ascending the
bother.
cliffs into High Lyric.
I won't bother. I'll just stroll down.
No, they are not obligatory. They are not there to aid or assist you. They are there should you not feel so steady on your feet as you might like. And so,
I'm
any
going to touch myself.
obligation. You're going to tie yourself in. Tori, are you gonna tie into the wall?
I'm not going to worry too much because I can just turn myself into a fucking bird if needs be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are certainly
Yeah.
high up enough. It would not take you much time to. You'd have enough time to wild shape while descending. Absolutely.
Or a
I
spider.
will.
Yeah.
I will use my excellent tinkering knowledge to make a quick release knot that you can undo really quickly, but is also safe.
Absolutely.
Good shout.
And you will certainly know a knot that you could would be safe enough for you to fall on, but if you tug it and put the pressure in the right way, it will come undone quite quickly.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to show Obadiah or Bostic this knot?
I just assume they've done the same. My selfish ways.
Yeah, absolutely. As you walk down, Bostic is taking the lead. It's going to take you again several minutes of walking. You descend past what the daylight coming in above you can penetrate. And eventually, with not too much time, there are some older dwarfs, broader, heavier set than Bostic, but shorter in fact, with pocks and spots of black spreading across their cheeks. The dust set into old wounds and scratches. Their hands are crawled. And they look up to him, and they meet a step apart. And the dwarf at the front takes his length of chain, and with a trembling hand grips the rail and unloops the chain from his ring of iron, and slides it up a little way to Bostic, who unloops his bit of rope, loops himself in, and passes his lower rung, his lower loop, to the larger, older dwarf that he has just crossed over with. They're only untied for a matter of seconds, but getting them past each other is laughable for a brief second. It is a clumsy affair.
I'm going to be just stood looking over the edge to see if I can see the bottom while I wait.
There is light beneath you. You've got dark vision, and so this is something Jethro can pluck out without too much difficulty. But there is a band of dim light before things give away to torch and candle and burning coal deeper down.
I'm
The
gonna
air is
cast.
moving. Yeah. Yep.
I'm gonna cast enhance ability on dexterity on myself,
Okay. Yeah.
just for
Absolutely.
peace of mind.
Yeah.
And I'll unhook if necessary.
Now, Bostic being the taller of these two dwarfs, he has kept hold of the rail while the older, broader man is actually passing underneath his arms. There is enough room here on the steps. The steps themselves are wide enough that if one person were to unhook, he could certainly go around. But in this case, there is this funny, strange dance. You can assume probably it would be a great insult to suggest it, but these dwarfs are probably quite afraid of the height that they are facing here.
Should have probably got a railing on the middle.
Mm-hmm. You'd think that, right?
I'll vocalize that. It's a bit dangerous, isn't it? Should put a rail in here.
Maybe cut the stairs deeper into the wall.
Yeah. And there are glances, stabbing glares your way.
How far down is it? I'll say as I unhook my rope when they pass me.
Far enough on little legs, eh?
Well,
Mind you, we both know about that, don't we?
sounds good to say.
Yeah. No, I'm sure your Tuscan friend here could handle it just in one big step, couldn't he?
I'm not gonna try it. I don't think that'd be wise.
Ah, you be my guest if you ever want to, eh? Walking
That's
around.
enough of that, you. That's what's up.
Yeah, and you loop back in. It's not too difficult for Titus. Are you repeating this dance? Are you swinging under the arms of the dwarf coming upwards?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And he makes enough space, and it's not too difficult. Whereas for Obadiah, that's going to be, well, it's clear.
Oh,
he's
I
gonna
won't be doing
try-
it. That's far too close and personal to somebody else's, psychic
Yeah.
bubble.
Yeah.
I'll stand to the side, even if it's a bit dangerous.
Okay.
And I will be thinking Misty Step in my mind, just in case I fall over the edge.
The air leaning over is there's a hot current coming upwards that clearly dissipated by the time you got into the stairwell, but yeah, you can feel the warmth of it coming up, of forges and fires and engines, maybe even. But it doesn't feel dangerous. The air isn't moving too hard. Your head spins for half a second and then it's fine. You know. You certainly don't want to fall. But you spent time on cliff tops or roofs or climbing trees. All of you have by this point. You've got enough of a head for heights, not to simply tumble down here. And Tor, you're simply going around these dwarves coming back.
I am going to do a very random one. I'm just going to step off the side.
Oh, okay.
And then turn into a bat when I'm a little bit out of sight, hopefully.
Okay.
Fuck it, mate.
With these dwarves coming up here,
Literally, as they get to me, I'm just gonna.
yeah, in my head, you're at the back of the walking order here. He's
Yeah.
passed by Obadiah, and Obadiah is unhooked, but stepping to the edge and out the way and around. Now, Tor isn't particularly tall. He's maybe dwarf height as well, isn't he?
Mm.
But as you aren't hooked in, you'll step out the way of this older dwarf coming up and simply keep stepping. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. I will step off the edge and then wild shape into a bat after about 3 seconds of falling.
If I hear any panic, I'll turn and see if I can, just cast out telepathically, Tor, or are you all right? What?
Yeah.
And if I don't get a response, I'll use detect thoughts and try to find him.
Tor knows exactly what he's doing, and so I think Tor's. Would you like to describe Tor's demeanor as he does this? What look might be on his face?
Well, as cheeky as he could have for a turtle that has a beak, I guess, because turtles do have beaks, don't they? So it's not like he can smile.
Right.
But he looks as cheeky as he can do.
Yeah.
While looking at these dwarves who are obviously quite scared of falling.
They are, and you're looking them dead in the eye as well.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna look at him in the eye and then just step off.
Right. I'm gonna make a roll privately for this guy's reaction, and then we'll see if he's gonna do anything. Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely scaring this guy, and there's for those of you who speak Dwarvish, a very pronounced kind of, no kind of panic in his voice. He's gonna reach out and grab for you. What's your AC, Vic, when you're just in your turtle form?
17.
17. Okay, I'm gonna give this guy a +4 on his roll. He's going to try and grab you to stop you from falling. So if I roll a 13 or higher, he might manage it. Okay. And he reaches and he grasps for you. And as your foot comes off the edge, your momentum is coming forward. And this heavy dwarf is bracing, is grasping at you. If you're going to try and force your way through it, you can make me an athletics check or maybe an acrobatics. I'll give you the choice.
I did a PP. Back.
I'm just gonna say to him, "Let go, go, me hand. I'll be fine."
Fuck you mean let go?
Said, "Let go." You see,
There's a level of bafflement in his face. He's trying his very best to pull you back on. This might be this man's childhood nightmare coming true in front of him. If you'd like to, if you are trying to persuade him on this, I'm happy to take pictures, but I'm inclined to ask for a persuasion roll, something like that. You can tell me that you'd rather intimidation, or if if you want to kind of
right? Persuasion, I guess, would be both the same, so it's a 3.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This guy's gripping steadfast, up by your shoulder.
I'm gonna lean and say, "Let me grab him," and I'll grab Tor by the arm and kind of push the dwarf off of me. It's like, "Don't worry, I've got him."
Okay. He's holding really very tight. Now this guy's panicked. He's scared. I made a private roll to see how he would react, and he is not happy about it.
He'll be all right. He's good at this sort
Again,
of
so
thing.
if you want to talk him if you want to talk this guy into letting him go, again, I'll say a persuasion check again. If you want to try and talk him to letting go.
11.
An 11 total. The guy looks at you, and you sound sure. I'm like, but his response is like, "What's wrong with you? You can't just let the man drop."
While he's holding on to me, I am going to now cast Wild Shape.
You're gonna want.
Yeah, I'm just fed up with him holding on
Yeah.
to my arm.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you're going to shift and twist. Describe to us what that will look like with the dwarf man holding your cuff and your arm, preventing you from dropping off the edge.
I hope he's tied in because I don't want him falling off.
He himself is definitely tied in.
I imagine it turns into like a misty swirl of fucking mist form tortoise that slowly transforms into a bat.
Absolutely.
I imagine the look on the dwarf's face is a bit, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. And his fist closes in his hand. And he looks for a moment just petrified with fear. And, and then he's back, and he's got his back hard against the wall, and he is rubbing his eyes. And after a second walking past the other 4 of you, there's another dwarf, older than Bostock, but younger than this man, red, bushy beard, walking upstairs with a bright, gleaming breastplate. And they are both aghast at what they're seeing. They don't have druids down here. But here you are.
Yeah, freaking him out.
Just scaring some men.
Being a fucking dick. Oh well.
Absolutely.
What's he
But
doing?
in your bat form, are you diving? Are you flying
I'm
downwards?
just gonna flutter around the guys and
Yeah.
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 Keep an eye or my mind on the time of how long I'm being a bat.
Yeah.
Because I haven't got a clue how long it's going to take these fuckers to get to the bottom.
It's not going to take you an hour or so, but it is going to take a little time. You're a few minutes
I got
walking.
4 hours as a bat, so
That's exactly it. It's not quite an hour's descent, but it is a long, heavy staircase, and after a while, your Bostic's question about your shoes makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of down, and the thud, 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 and the grinding of your knees. There are a couple of more instances of having to pass people. And the ropes in the center twist and turn. Things are lifted. Entire oxen with carts of goods are lifted up and down from the higher and lower cities of Mazenhal. And up you go. And down you descend until the air is warm and ringing with the sounds of falling hammers. Bostic tells you about a few other things that are down here. So he's telling you about places that he likes to go for a drink, telling you about other tradesmen that there are. The other person that he mentions is Sigmund, and Sigmund, he's told you about the Temple of Snow in the high mountain, but Mazenhal is rare in that it has two temples. Sigmund is the keeper of the Temple of Deep Rock. In the conversation, if those of you are talking to him about it, you've come across the forest temple in Penvaden was almost built like a temple of harvest. It had that sense of the human being's symbiotic relationship, or the people's symbiotic relationship with the wood. And there's the wood, with the wood as a thing that could be taken and worked with and kept and tended to. And the rock temple is similar to this. It holds mining as sacred activity. There are few things more noble, more devout for a dwarf to do than to dig away ever deeper into the dark, into the deep down here. But learning a craft, learning a skill is important as well, and that is why Bostic's people are smiths. But Sigmund, he mentions, Sigmund's had a hard time of it lately. There's been fewer people going on. There's something else going on in the low mountain town.
When I hear this, I'll pay particular attention.
Bostic's always been a temple goer. Devout. But I don't know, maybe there's someone else that's got something to say.
Well, we found similar Bostic in the south a few weeks before we met you. Men and dwarves of the forest that harvested and worked the trees there and worked the lumber for the great ships in the war in the north. They had the same problems.
Oh, really? And what happened there?
Some little earwig crawled into an old elf, some cleric of a god. No, sorry. No, my mistake.
Guy went mental.
An old
Foul
elf
magic.
guy went mental. Thank you, Jed. And he started to lead people astray away from the temple.
Oh.
And what we found in his basement was hell's fires.
Oh. Oh, well,
Well, let's not jump to conclusions, but
there's all kinds of basement here. I mean, I suppose the whole thing's a basement, but
But that's what caught me. It's strange for us surface folk to, I don't know, assume dwarves would have such a fear of heights like those two old fellas did earlier.
it's the open space here,
Ah, that makes more sense.
do you know?
Of course. You should really put up boarding or something around the outside of this spiral.
So get in the way of
If it's not going to
Of
take them
risk.
too long, I'm going to fly down to the bottom and back up just
Yeah.
to see roughly how fucking far it is.
You can drop, and flying directly downwards only takes you a few minutes. And after a little while, there is the smell of smoke. There is the sparkle of hammer and forge. And this is all that you had imagined a dwarfen town to be. It is not austere, but it is more open. The corridors, the tunnels, have more of the raw hewn rock. More has been taken away, more has been harvested and quarried, but it is less ordered, and there is no daylight here, this deep into the mountain. None at all.
Do they use any other light sources, or do they rely on their dark vision?
There are torches around the place, but the shadows that there are deep and dark. There are torches, there are candles, there are fires in the homes. For certain, the place is not dark, but it is gloomy. Harder to see, that's for sure. And those of you descending the stairs eventually reach the end of it, and Bostic unhooks himself and adds his rope to the pile of rope, adds his iron ring to the pile of iron rings at the end of the rail. And stepping off, there are voices, there is shouting, there is clamouring, but soon enough one is directed towards you, or directed towards Bostic, because there's an, "Hey lad, is that fucking thing with you?"
You what, mate?
Is he speaking in Dwarvish?
There was speaking Dwarvish. Now enough of you speak Dwarf that I'm going to speak a lot of it aloud in English. But yes, there was a dwarf speaking in Dwarvish.
What's he shouting about?
I'll say, what do you mean, you people, in Dwarfish, or whatever.
Yeah.
He's given out about Jethro, I would say, in common.
Ugh, not more of this.
And there's a switch to common with the
Ignore
other.
him, Bostic. Just
Yeah.
bring us where we're meant to be. We have the king's protection, and if not, I can turn these cunts to fucking mist.
The king don't give a fuck about us. Why should we give a fuck about the king? King will speak to Miss Zabek in his bloody high-class tower. Won't speak to us.
Things change, old man.
And there's a chin thrust forward, but nothing done more than that.
Unless you want that shaved, you better tuck it back in.
Give me an intimidation roll, Gav, just for fun.
Ooh, +2.
Ah.
That's
I
more than
really
me.
want intimidation on this, or inspiration. Oh shit, 6, 8.
8 total. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're kind of playing the game here rather than actually putting anybody down.
yeah.
But that's fine, and you're probably doing the right thing. That's the right level of threatening, I think, and you can expect to match that. Bostic, however, leads you onwards, leads you down a hall, and there's none of the temerity, none of the checking his bearings that there was in the higher mountain. This guy is at home now. And he makes sure he knows who you are, but after a little bit, you see the sign of a pub that he had mentioned to you on the stairway down. Yeah. The place is just called it's called Ords. And then he leads you past it. And after a little bit, you hear a hammer clanging, 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 and Bostic picks up his pace a little more. And then he stops on the corner and points up towards the sign, and the taller among you can see this quite clearly. There is a sign of bright iron, and the dwarven runes upon it remark it as, name it as such. Am I right in saying of all of you, Titus doesn't speak Dwarvish, but the rest of you
Nope.
do?
I
Is
don't
that
speak
right?
Dwarvish either.
You don't speak Dwarf either. Okay,
No.
no problem.
It's me and Obadiah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
50%.
because I'm a subtly manipulative bastard, when the door is when he's just opening the door, I would like to say loud enough that something along the lines of like, this looks like a fine establishment, Bostic. You must be so proud of your family.
Yeah.
In Dwarvish.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Bostic cracks the door. There's a stable, heavy wooden door, and smoke and sparks fill the space. And there's a dwarf man in his leather apron with soot across his eyes. And he's heard you say this. And he looks up. And those of you who can see even a little here in the darkness, in the dank, in the smoke and the dim light, will see recognition. And at first, the man looks pleased. And then after a little bit, after half a second, he looks down at Bostic, sees him properly, and says, "Why the fuck are you wearing that, boy? Where did you get the right to wear that?"
Ah, Mr. Bright Iron, I say in common.
The dwarf
I
looks
am.
up at you and says, "Yeah, that's right. You here with my boy?"
We are. He has guided us here on the king's business. We hope to speak to Lord Highcleve, and we thought we would stop by young Bostic's family first.
"Oh, it's all right. You've been working with these nice men, have you, Bostic?"
Do call it a bad.
No, indeed not. We've happened upon each other in the old village of Ansel, where terrible things have happened. Few, but a dozen people remain.
You, bud. It's all right.
Well, it's more than right. I might have even been exaggerating. Half a dozen more tell. Just the priest, a few others, and thankfully your boy here.
Oh. And my
Things
boy
are,
here.
things are grim in the lowlands.
That's so, Bostic. And Bostic shuffles a little bit, and nods. And says, "Yes, Dad. Yeah. Whole town's dead. Including the smith I was apprenticing under." Ah. And I suppose you think surviving a massacre through naught but your own cowardice gives you the right to wear that armour, does it?
Bostic, a coward? I think not.
What are
The
you
boy-
talking about?
Yeah.
The boy has demonstrated great bravery, actually.
Oh.
We fought creatures from beyond. If Bostic wasn't with us, we might not all be here.
He had a good accounting for himself.
You're all weighing in here now. I'll ask one of you to make a persuasion check with advantage.
Has anyone got bonuses in persuasion?
Yeah.
Mine's +1.
I have a +2.
Oh, no, I don't.
If it's
+1.
yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, if it is then.
Yeah.
Lucky black dice.
Oh God!
Oh my god.
Give us an inspiration there, somebody. Go on, go on. Thank
Go
you.
on.
You weren't using it, friend. You've been sitting on them for weeks.
True.
16.
There we go.
Bit
Double
better, yeah.
Double
16s.
16s.
Nice.
Would be better, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
my
great.
lucky number.
Yeah,
You got my luck.
absolutely. That's what the inspiration's for. Absolutely. And the dwarf's face softens. And says, "Well, will you have a glass of ale with us then?"
That's the first sensible thing anyone's said since we've come here.
You can tell us all about the lives my boy's been saving.
Yeah.
And what
Mainly
they're
ours.
doing. Yes, and what might have brought those lives here to my forge down in the low mountains.
Well, that is gonna require a drink.
Why?
And the older bright iron man hangs up his hammer and his tongs and sets the iron that he's been working just down at the edge of the forge where it might stay warm but not lose its temper. And he pushes it.
I've just had an idea. We've got a mammoth steak.
Yeah, and we got ingots of weird metals as well.
Well, I was just gonna, have you ever had a mammoth steak?
Did you actually cut a slice of mammoth steak?
Oh yeah, I cut.
Yeah.
I thought you just took it.
No, I cut like a big chunk of its flank off for later use, and I'm
I remember
assuming a bag of holding would keep it fresh.
I think there's not rules on that, but let's say it's not perished like it's been out in the heat.
Well, yeah.
Bag of
Hasn't
holdings
been
in
that long.
refrigerate. Why not?
It's only
Yeah.
been
It
2
hasn't been
days.
3 days. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
We've just been dry aging it.
we'll drink a
Yeah.
beer. Yeah, we'll drink a beer, and I'll be like, "Well, I've got a lovely
Well, hang it for
mammoth
21
steak
days.
as an offering for you."
Mammoth steak. I've
yes.
seen mammoth. Then what the lizard folk keep.
Yeah.
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, that'll explain why they were there.
Exotic
totally.
meat.
Yeah, no, never had one. All right.
There you go.
How's it cook? Sear it like you would beef or whatnot.
Oh, I'd imagine so. Yeah. Just maybe
I'd say
maybe
the
a few
forge will do.
maybe a few minutes longer. It's substantially thicker.
Oh, I like mine rare, innit?
Ah, good. So, are we regaling him with tales?
Unless anyone's better at performance, will sit down and honestly tell him the tales of.
I got pretty
minus
good
the-
performance.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. Well, if you want, the only thing I would say is that you're orcish, but I'll happily back you up if you want to take the role.
Yeah, I'll tell the tale of our great battles in the form of a saga, and the evil that befell the place and how we
The whole land.
Well, as befallen the land and how we managed to rescue the town of Ansel, and the boy came with us, and our adventures to another plane, and how he helped us slay a great giant. I'll show him the tooth of the Fomorian. Like, look at this trophy. I gave one to Bostic. He has his own. He has his own trophy from the Fomorian. I was like, yeah, he greatly helped us in the slaying of this giant beast, and it was he like I said, he handled himself very well. As a mighty axe, mighty armor, and I was just saying, and we're here investigating what's going on and what the dwarfs want to do about it. But yeah, I won't mention Lord Beck.
How far the corruption has spread.
Yes, yeah.
And maybe, and I'm wary to ask this, but maybe, like, why you have some cheek wearing that armor, or do I leave that question until later?
I think we don't address that. We'll see if we can win him over
Okay,
first.
cool.
Yeah, just sort of.
I'm
I'm giving
There's a
doing
couple
the
of
roll.
bits. And
Oh.
early on, Bright Iron seems keen to reciprocate on your stories. Every time you hit a break, he tells you a tale of when he did something similar. You know, he tells you the tale of when he or his friends also fought some lizard folk, or when they also travelled down the river and fought some goblins. But then as you're getting into the patches in Ansil where the entire town has been desiccated and zombified, or where you go down to Beck's basement and hit a literal portal to another world, he's got no answer for this. He's got no kind of comeback. And there's a look of not disbelief, but yeah,
Is this a
astounding.
dwarven culture of like one-upmanship type thing?
I'm still
It's-
in bat form, I assume, so
You-
I'm just gonna wild shape out of bat now in front of the dude, just freaking
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Okay, yeah, and you're adding to the ambience there. It's not one-upmanship so much as reciprocation. He's showing a layer of
Qualifications.
qualification is exactly it, and tit for tat, and saying like, yeah, I'm also good at this, or yeah, you're in good company. For the it's polite to swap stories, right? And without these things having a sense of fabrication and being driven in that way, there is an art to the telling of the stories, which I trust Jethro's got a layer of
Well, Jethro's got
kind
a
of
9.
experience in.
But I'm backing you up. I don't know if that
Oh,
might give you advantage or
if we're like tag teaming it.
Again, if you want to make a performance roll, you're welcome to. You can
Well,
have advantage on
I
a
rolled a
performance roll.
9. I can roll again, or Gav can roll to assist.
Roll it if Jeffro's got the best bonus for that. You can do that again. You can do that yourself.
Okay.
Incredible.
How is
It
that
was meant to
twice
be
tonight?
in 2 fucking consecutive rolls.
Yeah, amazing.
It's
Okay.
it's good information,
Christ.
but it's the manner I'm telling
Yeah.
it is poor.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
umming and
And so
ahhing a lot.
maybe if there's a layer of one-upmanship, it's the confidence with which the guy tells the stories. Need it.
I tried.
Yeah, failure ain't always bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, as you get into the more literally otherworldly details, the guy just shuts up and listens. And he looks over to Bostic every so often, just, genuinely impressed by the stories of what his son has done. There's no sense, even in the way you tell it, that it's fabricated, or actually the embellishment, which might be par for the course, is clearly absent in the way you tell it. That's part of what might be missing in the telling. And with Tor moulding out of bat and into, turtle form midway through the story, this only adds to the ambience. The sense of, what you guys are doing is really astounding. And by the time he gets to the end of it, and his mustache is thick with froth from the beer that he has served for all of you, he puts down his cup and says, "Well, what can I do for you then? Would you like will you be needing beds to stay? Obviously it's,
Well, we don't want to put you out, but there is something we can get to straight away, I think. And I'll reach into the bag of holding and I'm going to pull out the 2 dark blue metal ingots.
Oh.
So, amongst Bostic's master's belongings, we found these. And considering the man wasn't going to use them no more, we need them in our aid to fight what is to come.
Certainly sounds that way.
I have some magics, and I've been trained and well groomed in the arts, but I've no way to lock them into the metal. And I was hoping we might find some answers here.
And he reaches up and brushes his mustache. I know how to work the place. you see that, and he points up at a literal certificate. It's written in dwarf on the wall, but it declares him a master smith, and it is stamped and has a few separate markings.
Aye, Bostic told us of your accomplishments. He was well proud of that, and that's why we're here.
Well, you see the blue marking down on the right. I don't know if you read our script, but that says I know how to work with that stuff. And
Yeah,
I
I
can
see
do
it. I know it.
nearly as well as anyone else in this town.
What is that stuff? I'll ask.
Meteorite. Call it sky iron, though it's not all come out the sky. A lot of it comes deep and plumbs up every so often. We'll not find a vein of it so much as a nugget. I've not seen that much in one. I've not seen an ingot that size in some times, normally no bigger than my fist. But for two of them, well, that's your man there's retirement policy, maybe.
Yeah.
That's the
bugger.
problem. Yeah, he passed. To leave it in his shop when he had no apprentice apart from Bostic.
Would have been a damn tragedy, eh?
That's right. And what caused his demise and what caused the demise of Ansel, further people in the south, entire swathes of villages in the north, and what will soon fall Hylery and might fall Mazenhal, and will definitely fall Beck and Reach. We need weapons to defeat this. Yet none of us are swordsmen or spearmen. We need something that will suit my ally, Jethro, here. And I'll give Jethro a slap on the shoulder.
Oh, well, it's been a while since I've made anything would fit the likes of you, and I've no idea how you fight.
Quickly.
Tell us,
Usually
quick
with
and fast and light, is it?
usually with my fists, but I'm fond of a quarter staff as well. Yeah, but although I any blah 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 monk dedicated weapon, I have that.
Yeah.
So
That's the bright iron. I'm thinking bracers or fists or something, or even rings. I don't know.
Yeah.
We bow to your wisdom.
Those old dwarves used to fight above the land with. They'd wear spikes on the shoulders, the wrists, their helmets, that sort of thing.
Ooh.
Fast, speedy blooders. Come back rusty with blood, they would.
Well,
Make something like that for it. Unless you've something else in mind.
No, but I do know magics that can make a man move, or a dwarf or an orc, move from place to place in the blink of an eye, and to enhance their maybe strength. I know magics like these.
Let's say maybe you and I could do a little work together. I'd need you here writing it down for us and maybe doing your chants while I'm working the bellows, working the hammer. But
Yeah, that can be done. We have a few days before we have to visit Lord Beck again.
well, Arcleave's bloody idle, to be honest, but still finds ways to keep you from getting an appointment with him, unless you've got a letter or something important.
Yeah, we've no letter but these things, and I tap the king's badge. And they only carry weight down the low country.
Well, we'll be attending Sigmund's sermon in a couple hours, but before that, I was just going to make up some shop stock. Be happy to put some of that to the side. It's a little demand for.
They're all yours, yeah? Bostic told us about Sigmund. He's had troubles of late, yo.
Oh, just folk being twats and not coming along as they should.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. We've been to 2 villages, one out east and one down southeast, and they've had the same problem. And what's followed is bad.
It's just a fad. This lad calls himself chosen.
Chosen.
No, that is not a fad, sir.
Oh, you reckon?
If he's taking people from the temple, we've seen that before, and it was bad.
Well,
We'll have to
It was
investigate it.
it was only the piety of the people running these temples that kept the few people of Ansel and of the southern town safe. Honestly,
Well-
sir, it's more important than it might seem now.
well, listen, I don't pay much attention to the prick, but we'll go down to Sigmund's and we'll see if we bump into that twat, and you can see what you make of him.
Mm.
He's another
And,
dwarf, like, but
In the same light as Obadiah, would you happen to know whatever his name was, Broadaxe, Frostrick Broadaxe?
Frostrick, yeah, aye.
I have some business with him. The same sort of line as what we've just been discussing, tooling up.
2 or 3 core wise from us, yeah.
So,
Aye, well, two or 3 rows core wise, as opposed to crust.
Yes, got you.
Well, aye, well, I can give you directions if you like. I might want my boy here to man the bellows.
Maybe I'll stay here with you if that's okay. I can provide you with the iron, and we can discuss any details.
I'd be happy to have it.
I hope we can live up to it.
We can go and see Broadaxe later if it's a reasonably long trek.
Oh no, take 10 minutes to get to his shop.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Nothing. What you'll want to do, and he walks up to the door and gives you directions that basically lead you down the corridor. You'll be passing a couple of turns and then taking a right and looking along for it. You'll smell the place, he tells you.
Cool.
Does it smell a little bit like this? And I'll open my powder pouch.
That and some, yeah. Aye.
Ooh.
Excellent. As suspected.
As I say, follow your nose.
Gonna get a drink.
Sure, yeah, okay.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Quite a bit.
Okay.
Wait, not Gex, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries.
Gav, do you have something in mind that you would like to achieve then with the smithing, or should we
Yeah, okay, I do, kind of.
yeah.
So if this is cool, I don't really care how much it costs. I'm willing to give him both the ingots and extra if necessary. But I'm thinking a bonus action ability that will allow Jethro to Misty Step X amount of times a day, your call.
Yep.
And then also possibly gives him an enhanced ability of Dex or Strength, whichever one works out best for him, which I assume might be Dex. I don't know.
I can't remember, and I'll ask X when he's back then. Yeah.
Or unless it's a weird one, like it's, I don't know, Monks are Wisdom?
Yeah, they are. Now, what I'm thinking then is that it's like Misty Step equal to Wisdom modifier, something like that. Because then if Gex decides to put up his Wisdom modifier...
Yeah, they both work together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's also a case of like maybe there's mystic weave magic wisdom embedded in these bracers
That is a good way of putting it.
that he learns, he studies over time and gets better at.
Yeah, absolutely. In which
I don't
case,
have a huge amount of other damaging spells apart from like Blight Cloud and like crazy 4th level shit. So, yeah. Or my first
Well,
level
that's-
chill, or my cantrip of Chill Touch. They're the other options. But, yeah.
No, that's fine.
But
Let's
because
have a-
most of my other lower level skill abilities are like Detect Thoughts, Charm Person, Suggestion, Speak with Dead. Like,
Yeah.
they're, you know what I mean? They're more investigative things.
Absolutely, yeah, and they won't suit Jethro's needs for one thing, but yeah,
But yeah, the party as a whole has, and I've been keeping a list here, a shitload of stuff. Like, we're not skint, not like I was making out when we were back in Hyluri.
yeah,
We do have a lot of fucking materials that we're living happy for the next few years.
yeah.
Even if it's not on, fancy adventurers pay. But it would be a chunk of our gains up to now to get this item for Jethro. I would guess it would be close to half or a third of our gains up to now. Maybe even more.
Rack on.
But I see, yeah, exactly. I see that as a
Yeah.
as a boon.
Yeah, I agree with you. That would be Jeffrey set for a fucking long time.
What will?
Don't you worry
getting
about it.
this
We
shit.
got you sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your intent to use both of the ingots?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Stand by with me. and
Super
I'll-
condense them
together.
for the. But we can do this after the fact because this is obviously something that doesn't have to be done
Yeah.
during the session. So,
Yeah.
and it'll take a while to
If
do
there's,
anyway.
there's only a side note, if there is any left over, I was considering mentioning making some ammo out of it because super hard fucking ammo might have some interesting properties.
Yeah, that's plausible. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like 10 bullets or something.
Yeah.
I think in this world though, like we can. There's a metal called orichalcum, which is silver and gold, like fucking during the month, and it makes it anti-magic bullshit.
Yeah. Silvered ammo is a thing, but yeah.
Yeah, we can
It
look
depends
at
the
that.
criteria of the magic item.
It's not necessary for me. But if there's anything left, we can talk about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
Well,
we
my
also
intent,
do have
yeah.
diamonds.
Yeah.
Mm.
My intent was, Sam,
Big
basically
diamonds.
pitch it as like this is 1 ingot or 2 ingots. I think splitting them up like that's going to be I don't know. Yeah, we can work that out, and I will put together an item, and then we'll judge the power level based on that. Did you see the guidance that I put in the Discord channel
Yeah.
previously? Yeah, I know you saw it, Gav. Yeah.
I didn't read that, no.
No. Well, you can if you'd like, Sam.
It's only
but-
a message or two back.
Yeah.
And indeed, Sam, I can make magical bullets. Well, like bullets a good berry. You can make with Jethro.
Yeah, he
Or
just
not
fucking
Jethro,
shoot,
yeah, Titus,
shoot them
yeah.
into your chest.
Yeah.
Ow!
Oh,
I'm
that's
healed.
so good.
That's an amazing idea.
Healing bullets. Yeah, absolutely. Let me think about that then, because I'm wondering if we're misty stepping it.
Like if Misty Step is the main ability, like once a day,
Yeah.
then
So
the
strong that spell.
it is strong and it's a bonus action, but it's a bonus action for a monk, and a bonus action for a monk detracts from his basic bonus actions. So
Yeah.
it's actually not great. Not as good. But if the main ability is +2 strength or +2 dex or whatever it is, then that's far stronger.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what the dark metal does, and that's what my successes and my magic will do, is just grant him the ability to Misty Step once per long rest.
I'm thinking about.
Strength will make me do more damage.
Yeah.
Increase my bonus.
Miss,
a little bit.
miss,
I've also got the spell suggestion. Like you could hit somebody and suggest them that
Yeah.
they,
Drop your trousers.
Yeah. So I think basically Misty Step is not a high enough level spell for it to be like once a day off this. This is going to be a decent level item object for you. So when I'm talking about the thing, so I'm happy to give it multiple uses of Misty Step, probably not like at will, but maybe Wisdom mod times per day, something like that.
Misty Step is second level.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
If we're talking
Yeah,
plus
for this
items.
to be a 2 ingot item, if it's going to be a +2 dex, and even if it's one use of Misty Step, I'd like to give it something else stronger in there as well. Because I think we're at a level now. If you guys are coming up on 10th level, yeah, this is going to be an item that's probably going to feel very powerful at this stage. But I want to give you that tool. I want to give you that play.
But what about something totally minor, like my use of banishment? Like for this turn, the creature from another plane cannot banish, cannot escape the plane they're currently on.
Yeah. The other thing we could give it is a limited protection from evil and good, something like that.
Yeah.
So creatures from another
thematic.
plane have disadvantage, or their damage is reduced further, something like that. I think
That'd be thematic to our objective.
Yeah,
so they have
especially if you put
melee attacks or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to do with that. I'll put something together, and maybe what we'll do is we'll have Mr. Bright Eye and say, right, cool, I'm going to let them set, and we'll assume that Obadiah's set and play with this in, and then I'll put something together. But if we said, what are you using for your main attack, Skex? Is it strength or dex?
It's dex.
It is dex. Okay,
yeah,
right.
That's how the monk does is.
Yeah.
What's your current dex?
20.
It is 20. Okay.
So I'll take more.
That's the next level thing to get it over 20. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's 20 from ability
scores. But I have seen that in Baldur's Gate. There's like the items that drop
you can get up to
at
like
around
22.
level 10 can get to 22. Yeah.
Yeah, there are items that do that. They are few and far between, and that tends to be the only effect they have. In which case, if we wanted to do that, then I'd go with one of the other effects. I'm not averse to that.
Well, that's your call if you think it's going to break. But hang on, this is a discussion for after, because it's going to take, a couple of days to do that in game. So we'll leave that to another time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a think about it. Yeah, and I'll think about. I've got the okay. Let me write this down on my own. I'll just put it in the guidance docs.
It's like when we get Tor his mithril shell for level 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when Tor has his own fucking pet Alba, I think it'll be fun and
using
raucous.
the druid in Baldur's Gate and using Owlbear form all the time. It's so strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
For some reason in that, it only takes one wild shape unit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Have you transformed into any of the elements yet?
Yeah, but the Owlbear is so much stronger.
Oh, yeah. The elements are really situational, I find.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
Yeah, against the right foe, they'll be very good, but...
Yeah, they're really good in certain situations.
Hmm.
But the Owlbear is loads of fun.
I'll be right back myself.
It's just fast knockback on every punch.
Yeah. And you can, do a massive jump attack thing.
Mm. Yeah, I'm quite enjoying her.
Got a whiskey and tonic.
Get to use her.
Well, I got some little scotch, so I don't feel bad mixing it.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting.
So you know.
The stuff that's it's called like Ben Fine or something like that.
Ben Bracken.
Ben Bracken is exactly the one. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
not quite a place, but it sounds a lot like one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's. I don't do Scotch much. So I just thought I'd try it out.
Fine. Yeah, it's not bad stuff. I've had it.
Yeah, it's alright.
You know, I bumped into some guys from the Mountain Bothy Association in a hut back in March, and that's what they were drinking. And they're just referring it to as Scottish wine.
It's
But
like
it was
it's like house Scotch.
tasty enough. Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah,
house wine.
tasty enough. You know. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it'll
don't
do.
get how the Scottish can drink Buckfast fucking tonic, mate. Ugh.
Great.
Gets you fucked fast.
Great
Oh,
buzz off that
Buckfast!
stuff.
Buckfast is fucking great. Yeah, love that
Horrendous.
shit.
It's magic juice.
Yeah,
Literally made like a few miles away. it's nasty.
By magic people.
I love it. It's good.
What by the monks? The monks of Buckfast fucking Abbey.
But I found it really hard to get in Devon, whereas here it's in every shop.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, you don't find
yeah.
it down here very often.
The first time I ever drank Buckfast is I was in Edinburgh for like a Make Poverty History rally in like 2005. There was like 100,000 people. And we had this big rally through the streets, and we ended up having a big party in like the square in the center of the city, and this massive queue outside of this fucking off license. And this guy in the queue was like, "Oh, you should try Buckfast. They call it. They say it gets you fucked fast." And so yeah, me and my friends danced in the street drinking Buckfast, like hundreds of people
Yeah,
in Edinburgh.
brilliant.
It was a good time.
Because it sells gangbusters up there.
Yeah, gets you fucked fast. It does.
Well, I'm going to walk down the road then, Jed, if we're carrying on.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I could hammer well, but I think I'll just join little Titius for a stroll. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well, it'll only be half an hour. I'll be back.
All right, I'll
I
stay.
mean, I'm short enough to fit in. Don't you worry.
Yeah, I feel like I stand out a little bit. I'll stay here.
Mm.
I could do some hammering. I'm good at that.
Help us with the bellows, yeah.
The advice rings true for you, Titus. The follow your nose that Mr. Bright Irons just suggested there. You catch a drift, and you know you're at the right junction when this mixture of spices and that very pungent kind of eggy sulfuric smell that you've been carrying around with you suddenly gets a lot stronger.
Mm.
And you're walking along the street, and you don't read Dwarvish, you can't quite read the signs, but there's no doubt when you're in the right place as the light flickering through and under around the wooden door that you're aiming for suddenly gets a lot brighter and then dims again for a brief second.
Everybody
a
who
more
has stuff
sustained-
loves playing with it.
It's a
What
more
did it say?
sustained burn than what you've been used to. But as you open it, you recognize the smell, you recognize the puff of smoke. You recognize the laughter and the glee. Having come across it before. Having come across dwarves using it. When they're not quite sure what's best to do with it. But there's a hello, sir. Oh, you're not one of my usual customers.
No, you've come highly recommended from your brother down in insert name here, please.
In Penvaden.
Penvaden, yes.
Oh, I know. Oh, you've travelled some way then.
Oh, yes. It was a few weeks ago I met him. Well, me and my companions. Lovely young dwarf.
Yeah, so fine fella does well. It's next to is it via the I know he works next. I went to his place once. There's a Shoney's restaurant just next door to it, was there not?
Oh, you have impeccable taste, sir.
Can't get the stuff up here, but that's how it is.
You see, I hail from Chew.
Yes, well, yeah. Can see the look about you.
Big foreigners, eh? Anyway, I see you have exactly what I'm looking for and what your brother said you would have. What is it you're doing with the sulfuric smelling powder over there?
Oh well, we've been enjoying the flashes of it, trying to find a way to make it last a little longer. I've been mixing it up with pig fats, tallows, gelatins, that sort of thing. I think it will make a fine candle. Very very bright.
So,
And you can see exactly what he's doing, where he has a kind of goopy, kind of glue-like liquid that he is filling and stirring with this granular black that
Oh,
you've been so using.
we just got napalm.
Yeah.
very interesting. I've
And
never
he
thought of
takes
such an application.
the spoon out from it and holds it at arm length, which for a dwarf is not particularly long, a little closer to the candle on his desk. And the brightness really does hurt your eyes that have been adjusting to the dark down here, the glimmer and the flicker of the torches. But he's not wrong, it does burn a little longer than your gunpowder flashes have been doing so. But when the corona settles back down, well, there's not much left of the spoon. And the dwarf in front of you's eyes look a little more hollowed out.
You basically just
His
make
mustache
thermite.
looks a little shorter.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway, I would like to purchase some of this powder if you possibly have a source of it.
Aye, well, I've sussed out a way of making it rather easily. When you say purchase some, you've.
So personally, I'd require some for my own uses, which I'll give you a demonstration in a minute if you like. But I've come from Shu, travelled a long ways, and we are looking for places where we can purchase it in industrial capacities to export.
Industrial?
Mm.
Well, have you, Aye. Well, you see, it's, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give this guy a roll to see how shrewd he's going to be.
Can't be less shrewd than all the other merchants of it.
Yeah.
The others know what it is, do they?
No, absolutely. Well, it's simple enough to put together. Like, you know, you've hot rock in your country. What's the elves call it? Volcano.
Yeah.
And we take a bit of that, and a simple kind of glass black sand mixed together with batshit guano and the like. It's got the nitrates. Got to have the good stuff. Makes a fine mix. No, well.
It's my understanding that it's a byproduct of the mining work as well. That's where we've sourced it previously. In Shu, the dwarves of Shu.
Oh, well, we've not had much. Well, that's precisely what I'm trying to tackle. All of this is byproduct of mining, the sand and the rock, and, well, with no shortage of bats, that's for sure. But it makes an interesting cocktail, but I'm trying to put that use for it myself, you know?
Well,
Been long enough to make a decent candle, and, could use it to scare off the bats. Maybe keep the heavy workers in line, you know.
I tell you what, but a demonstration I'll show you. This is, of course, a bit of a trade secret. I couldn't tell you how to make a device such as this. This is a device of my people, but we require the black powder to use it. Then I'll unsling my musket. So have you got a target?
A target? How do you mean?
Yes. So something for me to shoot at, like a bow and arrow or a crossbow.
Oh, goodness me.
An empty bottle, perhaps?
I can make an empty bottle, yeah. And he clears a few off a shelf and empties some liquid onto the floor, some drops. And so now you have a shelf at the edge of the room.
And I'll say, just to prove no tricks or anything, can I have some of your powder? Just, a small amount.
And he takes a handful, fills his palm.
Yeah, and I'll just take what I need to put in the musket.
Which is a pinch rather than a palmful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Only so little. Okay.
I'll just put the ball in. Now, so to stand back. It's rather loud if you stood beside it as it goes off. Stand behind me.
Puts his fingers in his ears.
Yeah, and then I'll shoot the bottle. Yeah.
I can't hear you loud like this.
What was that? Yes, I shoot the bottle. 17 plus loads.
And there's the pop and the flash, and as promised, the percussive echo rings in your ears. But you fired the musket indoors before, and the bottle explodes. And you have the sense to shield your eyes quickly as glass flies in your direction.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not hurt.
Powdered glass at this point, probably.
Absolutely. And after a second, Fostic Broadaxe steps around you. You blew it up. You
Aye.
took all the... And there was no flash, you sent all the flash down into the glass.
Well, no, you see, I fired one of these, and I'll give him a musket.
He's teaching the dwarfs the Second Amendment.
Yeah. No, I'm teaching this dwarf.
Like a
sling would.
Aye.
Use a pebble.
Yeah. Like a pebble. Aye. But harder. But you could... And could that come from... It's the force of it, and you've compressed it, aye. From channeling it all, like a piston. Hang on.
Yes.
So if I were to... And he moves around and finds a length of piping. He's just, this guy has sections of hose and sections of copper ring. And suddenly has, this section of copper that that you could easily put a finger down, filled with black powder.
I'll say careful now, that's a soft metal. I'm not sure that one will take the forces.
Oh. Indeed, it would not. What would you recommend? What do you use for yours?
I don't know, some sort of steel, I suppose, isn't it?
Cold hammer forged.
Yeah. Well, this is iron and steel of shoe. I'm sure it's not as high quality as some of the metals the dwarfs here produce, but
there's some indeed, I recognise this. Now that you mention it. You wouldn't be stopping here in the low city for any length of time, would you?
only a short time, I'm afraid.
For a day or two, maybe. Do you need a place to stay? I'm sure we could arrange somewhere.
We're up at insert name here, Bostic's parents' dad.
Oh, okay, yeah, Mr. I know Bright, fine Smith. Although he's not the fellow I've had in mind for... Will you come by to Sigmund's for the sermon this evening?
I believe we're heading there, yes. It's me and my compatriots.
Give me an insight check, Sam.
17.
17. He's looking down at your rifle, at your musket, in much the same way as your gnome that you met above ground did at the pistol. He's figuring it out. He's sussing out exactly what's going on with that, where the spark is coming from, where the force goes. But there's an element of recognition there as well. like he has seen something similar before. This is the kind of guy who thinks to himself and his lips move as he's thinking. But your
I
dwarvish
know what you
isn't
mean.
good enough to make that out. His eyebrows are knotting, like he's solving a puzzle for himself. I'll tell you what, Mr. What was
Titus.
your name? Mr. Titus. If you'd be so kind as to swap a few ideas with me, I'd be happy to swap a few ideas with you. I think this could be what we might call a partnership rather than one of mutual benefit. You understand?
Well, yes, that sounds like a great idea.
He's pulled.
He's pulled, yeah. However, if we could go back to the business, I'm more than happy to share ideas with a fellow, what's the word, tinkerer we use in our society.
Indeed. Well,
But as for the powder, is it possible for me to buy some from you now? See, my stocks are running low, you see.
Oh, indeed. I'll sell you a half keg of it for gold piece. I don't know. But listen, tell you what, lad. Let me write it down for you. If you're in the business of making it, I'm just interested in. I'll tell you what, sir. If you were willing to provide patent-worthy documentation to offer me sole rights of production and distribution, have you shown this here device to anybody else since your arrival here in Lurich?
Not in any detail.
Not in any. If you were willing to provide and sign patenting documentations, I would be more than happy to provide as much powder as we could.
Titus becomes an international arms dealer.
In fucking my best Nick Cage voice.
How do we arm the other 11 or whatever it is?
Yeah. He reaches down and finds a horn of powder, a leather bag with a stopper. So this will tide you over, will it not?
Yes, of course. I'll tell you what, I'll come back and visit and I'll pick up a larger amount off of you. I will require 2 kegs, I'll say.
Well,
and I'll pay for it up front now.
Well, indeed. Well, I would. Let us say I would charge you a gold piece each for a keg, the size of my arm.
Perfect.
He'll point to his bicep, and then
I'll give him 3.
Be sure you come by to Sigmund's. Maybe come a little early, or yes, I'll make sure.
I'll tell me, is before I go, where is the nearest Shuanese restaurant? Have you there isn't one in Mazenhal, maybe in the high area.
Goodness me, I dare say they've got something up in the High Mountain these days like that. They've all sorts of eateries and gastropods and brasseries and the like up in the top there. Might be willing to find somebody, but if not, you'd have to make your way to Everton, probably. Hallow, maybe?
No problem, thank you.
Sure.
I should pop in and see you on the morrow, I'll say.
Indeed. Well, I shall see you at the Deep Rock this afternoon for the sermon. Aye, that would be grand. I'll give it. Come by in an hour or so. Would be glad to see you. I shall introduce you to Sigmund directly.
Is this Sigmund a cleric or?
Sigmund, yeah, he keeps the temple. Speaks well of those of us who work the Deep Rock and the powders and that.
Brilliant. All right, well, I shall see you later, Mr. Broadaxe. And I'll offer him a handshake.
Yeah, sure. And he will eagerly, suddenly, like really proud and happy to be shaking your hand.
Excellent.
Surprised he didn't kick up the price after he saw the gun in operation.
I know he's angling, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get you in low and then
Yeah.
make
Thing
things easy
is as a person, it's not Titus's thing to sell
No.
the pattern. Anyway,
Mm.
doesn't matter.
Didn't you make it? Or is it from
Yeah, well,
from designs from home?
yeah, I didn't invent it. If that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you already knew how. Yeah, you didn't just come up with it. You knew how to build one. You just needed the parts. Yeah, cool.
Had to source a few things. Those of you who have remained at the Bright Iron House, things are going underway. There's some suggestion maybe that you all should eat and stay.
Sure.
Mr. Bright Iron's demeanour has warmed considerably since your arrival. And there's some suggestion that you should stay and eat while plans are being drawn up and
Yeah, sounds good.
things are being levelled in the direction of Jethro's briefly overpowered item.
I'll stumble in the door at some point. He's an interesting chap, that one.
Oh yeah.
And there's a nod. Did you find what you were looking for? And glad you found it. You didn't get any hassle on the way there, did you?
No.
Almost everyone you've looked at walk around is a dwarf, but not everyone, Sam. There have been humans carrying torches. There have been other halflings moving around there. There are also the odd thing about that look probably too big for things that would take several humans to move, if you know what I mean. Carts full of rock that would probably maybe want livestock to move, but you haven't seen oxes or horses or anything like that.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yes, interesting chap. I think I might have found what I came here for.
Well, that's good.
Okay.
You go to temple.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to do before then?
Nah. Help with the workshop. Eat the mouth steak.
Yeah. The steak cooks well and is served up alongside potatoes
Lovely.
and more ale and a couple of carrots.
What about mushrooms? We're underground.
Not served any mushrooms.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Sauce.
Maybe so.
Pardon me. Twice.
Yes, no, nothing I want to do good. And I assume all the building stuff will be done for next session.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, yeah, what we'll do is we'll have a play with that item. Now, Titus, you were told to come down to the temple a little early. Are you going to perhaps take that as enthusiasm?
I don't really care about going early, but what time are we going down to the temple? Just Broadhax suggested we should go early.
Oh, there's a general kind of shrugging and saying he's a good chap, but maybe enthusiastic. Sigmund's, we'll let it fill up. We'll hear the bells and then we'll go down. End of shift. That's when the best time to go is.
No problem.
And food is served. Bostic looks pleased, quietly pleased. He's, not said so much in the time that he's been home, except to maybe agree with you or add a detail while Jethro was telling a story, or point out to any of you where things are kept if you're looking for things around the home. The home itself is, fairly well furnished. Looks comfortable enough. But what? I don't know. Sorry. Time passes and the smell of smoke doesn't tickle your nose too much after a little while. The bells that were mentioned ring. They are of a decent kind of mid-pitch, not too deep, not too slow. The sound echoes through the tunnels. Those of you with a decent passive perception might note that you haven't seen a bell, you don't know where they are, but the sound pervades and rings through the air regardless. And when that happens, there is a change in the demeanour in the house. Mr. Broadaxe lays down his spoon and pushes his bowl and says, well, let's go deeper, let's go down.
Going deeper underground.
Absolutely. Okay. Close that. Sorry, I'm changing and closing a few things.
The GM's burden.
He leads you core-wise, as described before, past the junction that you took to Broadaxe's shop. Certainly closed now as you glance up. The smell is less. Although the torchlight indicates the seared and scarred and charred dirt outside the shop front, where people are turning and moving. And you begin to descend further. There are, as there were in the road leading into the lower town, rails here set into the ground and carts set on them, and glancing down against the torchlight and the candles, there are even chains set below the rail that hold tension, linking into the bottom of the cart. Now these carts are idle, they do not move. They are regularly spaced at intervals, but you pass them by before you come to the drop-off, the edge of the pit. And here a small crowd of dwarves gather. Bear with me. Just got to find exactly what I want to talk about here. A voice rings out, echoes. In Dwarvish, so those of you who do not speak it may not hear it, but in the same way. But for those of you who do, you will hear, relieve yourselves, brothers. Come to me with your pain and your ache, and you will find comfort and relief and justice, for I care about you in ways that those above and those below do not. I am here and I am sent to care and offer relief from your suffering and your toil. Brightine barrels on, starts pushing against the crowd. Those of you who are taller can see a dwarf stood higher above the others, shouting out. As many dwarves are moving in and out. They look tired. They look weary. They do not carry their tools, but their hands seem clenched and bent as though they have been holding the heft of pickaxes. But some definitely stop to listen. And this dwarf stands, leans upon his staff. The cloak around him ripples as though struck by a wind. And he calls over and says, "Do not pass by. Do not trust the lies that are fed to you, the human lords that speak down upon you, that will not hear your plight, will not care for what ails you, while you toil, while you dig, while you deliver. I am here, brothers, I am here." And then he calls up in common and says, You visitors here to these mines,
Oh boy.
you have pain upon you, do you not? You have travelled and come. And you,
Yes.
why? All of you. You come here with business, and you come here with knowing the truth about what is going on in the world above and the world here. You know that our leaders are not to be trusted. That's why you're here, is it not?
No comment.
What's he talking about? I'll say to Black.
Who are you speaking to?
Black.
To Obadiah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's the knowledgeable man.
the last bits he said in common, definitely. So you'll be able to hear that.
Yeah, I'll say telepathically, I'll say back to Sam or Titus. It's like, I don't know if we should challenge him or just let him rant for a while so we can kind of gain something.
I'll just be like, say nothing.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting.
For a while, anyway. He's obviously corrupted.
How so?
He's a communist.
Well, the same way the rest of the villages were corrupted.
Oh, I see. You think?
He's driving his people away from their natural ways. Like the people of the forest perverted the forest. The people of the plains destroyed their world. I think so.
That comment at the end. Strange.
Bright Iron has
Yeah.
led you all past him and away from him,
Yeah.
and down deeper towards the mine. And here it is quite dark.
I'll say, was that the chosen?
That's what he calls himself.
Bunch of
So
bollocks,
is
you
it
ask
this?
me.
Yeah. So is it the source we destroy, or is it the font? If you know what I mean. What's
Font of
that different?
shite.
Yeah, font is shite, but has he been changed by whatever fucking well he's been drinking from? Do we find some place lower in his temple that is corrupt, that he's spent too much time near, or are we destroying a good man? Because all of the people that we discovered in the past like this, they were good folk at one point, but they'd been perverted.
From memory at Penvaden, there wasn't anybody not affected, was there?
No,
There
he
were
said
folks you
most
met
of his
there was.
flock had been turned, but like
Yeah.
it wasn't all of them. I think he said
Yes.
it was a gradual thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Perhaps we need to talk to the bloke. That the last thing he said it rings true in my ears. Anyway,
We should
Yeah,
talk
but your
to
ears are strange and foreign. I think we should get in past them, get down under, and see what he's seeing. We find out what he can, and then we deal with him.
Well, let's see what Sigmund's got to say first. All right.
aye.
Yeah.
It was the
I'll
priest
offer
that.
some caution about Sigmund, though, because he's ranting on about the type of crap that just
That's not
the
Sigmund.
enemy are ranting on about.
No, that's not Sigmund.
Sorry, I thought Sigmund was ranting on the way down to the.
No, that's the chosen.
Sigmund is the
Sorry,
cleric
my
that
bad.
keeps the Temple of Deep Rock.
Yes, and the chosen is the guy who's taking people away from him.
And we haven't met. Sorry, I thought.
You
We're,
haven't met
we're on
Sigmund.
the way
Yeah.
to meet Sigmund, and we see the
You're on your
chosen.
way to meet Sigmund.
Okay, so the opposite of what I said.
Yeah. Sigmund's
I
a pretty
nearly-
cool guy.
Nearly called him Carl.
Yeah.
But it's not too. Maybe I'll have dwarves shouting for Carl in a little bit, but not yet.
Yeah,
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
that's because of doom.
Rock and Stone Brothers.
Indeed.
So I did pitch a game for our GM to approve to go to the group, and she said, "I don't think midgets tossing each other around is appropriate." It's like, no, we're talking about fantasy dwarves.
Okay. Yeah, great.
That's the same thing
Nobody
as what
tosses a
people
dwarf.
can't get with the Snow White shit, is that they're fantasy dwarfs as well, not like real
Midgets.
things. Yeah.
I read a thing recently that a dwarf actor had written about Hugh Grant being cast as all of the Oompa Loompas in the
Yeah.
upcoming thing,
Mm.
and him basically saying like, look, like what we're doing is we're crying out for non-fantasy roles for dwarf actors. We want to be in fucking soap operas. We want to be in like daily dramas. You know, you need more disabled representation across the board. And what you're doing is the opposite of that, which is just cutting us out of even the roles that we used to get.
Yeah.
Right, and so it was you know actually like doing away with the tokenism,
Doing away with the exploitation means that you're
The
doing away with
exploitation.
their jobs.
Yes, exactly. And it was like, no, what you want is more humanist, like more humanizing, more empathic roles for disabled people across the fucking board, right?
Yeah.
And like, you know, yeah. Did you all see the advert with the person with the stammer talking about how like, yeah, okay, it would be really cool to have people with a stammer on the radio every so often.
No, but I did have two. I did have a mate whose two younger brothers had a stammer.
Yeah. And the advert was saying, like, what did he say? There's no diversity without disfluency or something like that. Just saying, actually, you know, maybe we should have, like, not perfectly eloquent paced voices on TV and in the radio every so often. Maybe you should have
But
some.
it's even in the last 10 years, they've gone, especially in England, they've gone with I think they call them regional voices.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
On Channel
That being
4,
huge thing.
they
I remember-
used to have a woman with Tourette's doing the fucking the announcing and stuff, like the before or elections and
That'd be
shit.
great.
I remember
That's
it
so
being.
funny.
Way more entertaining.
It was well entertaining.
I remember it being a huge deal that suddenly Doctor Who was from the north of England rather than from fucking West London.
It was great. It's the only time I enjoyed Doctor
Yeah.
Who.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a guy of Doctor Who, and that's fine. But like,
If you're an alien, how come you sound like a northerner? Lots of planets have a north.
It's alright.
Fucking brilliant.
yeah, brilliant, Corker. Yeah. Sorry. Right. Yeah. Rant. It's fine. We'll just get back to regular dwarfs in living under a mountain and singing songs to each other. This gaggle you pass fairly quickly, and you realise lots of people are going the same way as you. You know, lots of people are going deeper, and after a little bit, Brightine stands on a platform, and this isn't the gondola. This isn't even the decent kind of roped off platform that would have led you up and down the main descent from the high mountain to the low. This is just a fucking slat of wood on a bit of rope. But he pulls on it, and he dings about against a bit of iron with the small hammer that's there, and the slat begins to lower deeper, deeper, deeper. And after a while, he steps off onto a ledge, gestures for you all to follow suit. Bostic pulls you off.
Hey.
And then, yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah. And you wait for another slat to come up to step down and make your way deeper, deeper, deeper into the mines. And this is fresher rock. There is this real stink of dust. And fresher air. You can see dirty tools cast aside where they've been used after a while. Bright Iron picks a torch, picks a lantern, and follows the trail of pious, quiet, mumbling, laughing, happy to see one another dwarfs down towards the ever-moving, ever deeper, fresh rock face for the Temple of the Deep Rock. Sam, you will recognize the back of Mr. Broadaxe's head among the congregation. And before long, there are 30, 50, 60 dwarves at the end of the shift, standing waiting for the sermon to begin, and more coming behind you to listen. As Sigmund stands against the bare rock face, the man in heavy, ringed and ornate plate, moving with the weight of an armoured knight and the solidity. He bears a fairly decorated-looking hammer, ornamental almost, but clearly solid with the smoothness of the movements of his arm. And a hush falls over the group. I have closed the tab that had the sermon in it because I've written this up. Now, enough of you speak Dwarvish that I'm going to speak the Dwarven part.
Yeah, just
in
tell me
English.
when you stop being Dwarven or whatever.
I could relay it to them.
And so
It's fine. Don't need to.
Sigmund opens and says, in Dwarf, communion, we are truly blessed. This we know, we are the recipients of the earth's greatest bounty. We labour truly and are rewarded for each hour that we toil, further and with greater wealth. We dig ever deeper, ever closer, as promised, the holiest of all. Find here communion, among the hard, deep rock, pure, cold iron. Iron, the likes of which our forebears had only dreamt. Holy chain, forged and linked by the mountain herself. See here! And he turns and he gestures, and the light spills past him. Behind me, the divine chain itself, and rejoice, communion. Those of you without dark vision can see a patch of the rock that twinkles little more than the rest. It seems clean. It does not look like ore. It looks like raw metal. Jethro, what you see very clearly is that it is polished, rounded, clearly crafted. And Sigmund continues, the divine chain itself, and rejoice, communion, rejoice, for this chain, this perfect link, is clearly a miracle from the loving earth. and from it I hear the earth's loving voice. That is right communion. I hear the words of the very mountain, and I am here to deliver them to you. Prepare yourselves, communion, for the divine mandate which I am set to regale. And he slips into a different tongue and says, Razorvi etit sepi, kotoya, skoyavat menya. Bear with me. Razbeti etiskali, kotoya, oskayat menya. Narimenya naladon, shodo, amog, usbehad sagozunt. Japrenes, ogonna, izemlu, inapius, rasplavian arudi. Yetatsius izboki. Ozvobodimenya, Ozvobodimenya, Ozvobodimenya. And Sigmund's hands spread, and the glow of fire, of hot metal, sets into his gloves. And the hush around you is deep for the audience. The communion here are rapt. Anyone that might look will see them all staring deep down upon him.
I'd be sorry to interrupt. Could I be poking Gav in the leg? Black. To get attention.
Say again?
I would poking Obadiah for his attention if Gav's there.
Gab!
He's
Gav,
all
go
isn't it?
He
He literally just watched at me saying he's lost his internet.
Okay, yeah.
right, cool,
Yeah,
okay. Drag.
Well, I'll send him the
Well,
video.
he's missing this cool point. Yeah, that's fine. The audience are rapt and enthralled in religious fervor. Dirt in the air and on people's faces, people's hands is suddenly shifting and streaking. With the crackle of the magic with which Sigmund delivers his sermon, it's likely just showmanship. I would have asked Gav maybe for an insight roll or for an arcana check, but Torek, you can make one if you'd like.
Yeah, well,
To see what sort of magic he's using.
12.
12 total. These are effects. It doesn't seem like he's doing anything damaging here. It seems like he's just doing it to enhance the show. Although it's precisely what he's doing. You know, it just looks cool. From what you can tell.
What's the name of the guy Bostic's dad again? Sorry.
I can't remember. Borva Bright Iron? Yeah.
Is he near us?
Yeah, he's led you there. He's in the row with you.
You need to whisper kind of in his ear. I suppose I'm a little bit shorter than him. How long has he been here? Sigmund Black?
Oh, century or two. Lads are local. You know.
Do you understand any of what you just said?
I can't say I do. Well, obviously there's the chain there and in the rock, and that's part of the course, the harvest. But that second part, no, I can't say I did.
Okay.
Touch of a departure, if you ask me, but
You don't normally say that or do that in that language.
no. Do you understand that? You're from a different place than I am.
Oh hell no! I understand.
Orcish, was it?
I understand Dwarvish, but you weren't, and obviously you weren't speaking that, and it's not Hawkish, so. No.
Unfortunately, I do understand it, but it's not for a conversation to be had out in the open.
How do you mean? Was it Sunni?
For his mention. No.
Good, our kids have got a
I'll
language.
tell you. Yeah, we do. We'll talk about it when we get back. So it's not for out here.
He's certainly charismatic.
I'll be looking at Jeffro and using my fingers to make like horns, like a devil.
I'll return the gesture and headbang.
Okay. Yes, Jeffro's not getting it. That's fine. You headbutt B, I'd be fucking out.
I'm just rocking out. Ugh.
And Sigmund ends his speech. It isn't very long, but he invites everyone present, all who are present, to come forth and lay their hands upon the divine chain link as it appears here from the rock. Please make a line, one by one, each of you. And the dwarves at the front begin to line up.
I'm going to line up.
I am not.
No, I'm not either.
You're going to hang back?
Yes.
Not my religion.
Mm.
I don't pray to metal. Pray to
Well,
the trees.
As everybody's disappearing off to do that, I'll lean over to Tor and say, I don't think this is anybody's religion. They don't
Trying to
know
remember
that.
if I've heard anything like that last bit before. Can't remember.
Put it this way, they're praying to the hells.
I was thinking something could be definitely up there.
The dwarves line up. I'll assume that Obadiah stayed back with the other two of you, but for Jethro, you're in this line of it. The ceiling isn't much higher than your head. It's about as high as a pickaxe could swing in the arms of one of these men. But you're not having to stoop especially, but as you come along, it's clear as day. This is clearly forged. You can almost see the weld. You can almost see the hammer blows against the metal. But very well done. And as the light tickles across it, this is... Brightyne looks back to you and says, bloody hell, lad. I know I said that the ingots that your man had, old Obadiah had, were more than I'd seen in some time, but look at this. Where's it all coming from? And the metal is that same blue-black, deep cool, almost like a petrol shimmer upon the finish and the temper. And the dwarves, one by one, lay their hands upon it. Sam, after a minute, Broadaxe comes around and he spots you. Are you attempting to hide from the guy to avoid his gaze?
No.
And he will...
Just standing in plain sight.
Yeah, he will come over to you and say, have you been to see it? The link.
Yes, interesting.
It's, I'm not doing the accent anymore, fuck it. He says it's fascinating, it's miraculous. I knew you had to see it. When you came in here carrying what you've got there, and there's something else that we've got to show you in a little bit, but yeah, I thought you'd come early.
Oh,
Who are
I
you?
apologise. Waylaid with gentlemen. This is Tor of the Woods. Because I've forgotten.
There's enough.
Close enough, yeah.
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 Oh, and is he...
He's a druid, you see.
A druid, okay.
Mm.
And he's someone you trust?
Of course.
Well, He's looking backwards and forwards. Now I'm going to give this guy another
There's
roll.
4 of us. This is Obadiah. With the orc queuing up over there for the chains. There's another. Why are you worried so much about trust? Sorry.
You wouldn't like to come and see the link in the chain? See the rock that it's set into? Well, we've had some trouble. Well, I haven't. I haven't been working down here, but I know a lot of the lads who've been working on this face, and Sigmund tells me they've had a lot of trouble getting this deep into the rock. And the next section is going to be, well, it was going to be very difficult to do by pick, but I wonder if your expertise, what you showed me earlier,
I see, yes, okay.
what you showed me earlier might be significant here.
Just as a devil's advocate, why are we digging so deep into this rock?
Oh, well,
Other than dwarvic nature, of course.
the earth gives to us. This is the faith here in Lorich. You're not a local, so
Yes, indeed. And be no offence.
the faith here teaches that the land is divine and gives to us to provide, to make us strong, to feed us.
Well, yes, I'll come and see it. We'll just wait for the crowds to go down, shall we? I assume we're not in any rush.
You're sticking around. You're not going anywhere for the minute.
I don't think so.
I'll introduce you to Sigmund. He'd be really happy to meet you. Get your insight into this matter. Gex, you lay your hand upon the steel link, and it is cold. The rock down here and the air in general is not especially. It is warm with the weight of bodies, and as caves have their way of being very stable. But the steel link, the meteorite, might assume, length of chain, loop of metal, is cold to the touch and has a buzz in your hand. You wonder if it might be a sound coming through it?
Well, I'm going to play it cool.
You're going to play it cool?
Not
You're
going
going to move on?
Not going to listen to it.
No.
If I want to.
And you move on, and the line moves on. And Sigmund is there at the end, and he looks at you with slightly narrow eyes. And questions, are you here of the faith as well? Have you been called by the divine rock?
I'm interested in every faith.
Ah. A scholar of the world, eh?
You could say that.
Well, you will find little stronger than what we have here elsewhere. Few places that can move such weight by faith alone. No matter what the pretender upstairs will say, we mean the best and we hold our community together by means like this.
Sounds admirable. Very intriguing.
Well, if you truly are here to contribute, you'll find yourself welcome. I know. Well, I'll not comment.
Don't think Gav's coming back.
No, okay.
Fair.
Well, should we call it there then?
Yeah, let's call it. Just remember that I haven't spoken to him.
Yeah,
with
absolutely. You have not spoken to.
I've WhatsApped
Sigmund.
Gav what I alluded to the party.
You have not spoken to Sigmund. You have spoken to Broadaxe briefly.
Yeah. I alluded to Tor that it's the devil's work. And Gav's definitely drunk because he replied as well. We did have our suspicions. Was like, damn, the other guy you did.
Yeah.
Well, I'll send him the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Absolutely. Okay, fellas, thanks for playing. This is yeah, as I say, there are some wheels in motion now that might lead to us having a break for a little bit, depending on what happens. I'd like to have a little bit of a break in a couple of weeks from running and play something else just for a bit.
Yeah.
I assume Mazenhal's basically the last bit we're going to do before the break.
That's exactly what I mean there, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
You won't leave alive, but hopefully we've got some things in line that will mean when I can come back to it about the end of the year, it'll be a step up again.
Cool.
But it just means, as we get into the higher tiers, there's a kind of the power creep and things like that. Your abilities start to outstrip what D&D is best at for challenging, so I have to work a bit harder to make things interesting.
Yeah.
And I had things well planned up to about this far, and I've kind of think, well, yeah, okay,
It takes some time.
worth putting the effort in to make sure that I'm not just throwing more orcs and trolls at you. Just big bags of hit points. Although those are fun as well.
Yeah.
It's really hit and miss because I realised this in Baldur's Gate. One of the end bosses, I'm level 12, so max level now.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, and I save scummed afterwards because I didn't get the persuasion rolls I wanted after the fight. Anyway.
Yeah.
First time I did it, I killed him in 3 rounds. Just like instant dead. Next time I did it, I couldn't do it. I still haven't done it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you